What is up, everyone, and welcome on in to episode 13 of the regular season. As always, my name is Nelstar15 and joined by Anthony and Nate. Gentlemen, Nate, how was your weekend, sir?
Fantastic. I had a nice weekend. My brother came out to see me in Vegas. I haven't seen him in like a year and a half, so he's an Eagles fan. We had a little fun watching the game together. First half was obviously a great time. But I had a fun time, and losing to family is something that it hurts a little bit less.
Fair. Anthony, how about you, bud?
The weekend was cool, and then I got this ear infection, and then I can't hear out the right side of my ear, literally because the wax buildup is so damn bad. My face is throbbing, and I got to finish this gallon of water before I go to bed tonight.
Oh, all right. Well, hope you feel better. It was a good weekend. I dominated in every fantasy football league, so that was fun. I'm currently getting my butt kicked by the COVID booster shot, but that's another story for a different day. And yes, I'm wearing an Eagle shirt. There's a reason behind this, but this is the memorial shirt. Right when we started is whenever my buddy passed away. So we made memorial shirts for him. On the back, it has his name and his old football number. And we did that to raise some money for his wife. But there's a reason I'm wearing an Eagle shirt specifically for this episode. But we'll hop right back into it. Fantasy football. What a weekend.
I'm 3-10. I'm sorry, I forgot to mute.
How am I back in my league?
Nate, we still have a section dedicated to you, so I can't wait to hear this story. But I won, no thanks to Josh Allen, who decided that, hey, I'm the starting quarterback for Buffalo, but I forget how to throw the ball in snow. So that was fun for me. But other than that, gosh, you want to talk about my team just showing up and dominating? Dallas Goedert. Hey, bud, I'm glad you decided to show up. Can we keep doing that for the playoffs? Because I really kind of need your contributions. But I mean, I had Chris Godwin, James Conner, T.J. Hawkinson. Finally found the end zone for the first time since like week 2. You're tight end. You're supposed to be an end zone target. Get with it, TJ. But Eli Mitchell. And then Dallas's defense. Let's talk about that. Dallas's defense showing up big time against the Saints, making Taysom Hill look like the running back that he is. With that being said, though, I mean, there were some players some regular names we got on our little top players list. We only listed 2 this week, but if you have them, you know it. But we had a David Montgomery sighting in Chicago this weekend. 90 yards, 1 touchdown with 8 catches for 51 yards. Finally looks like he might be a part of that offensive game plan. Though with Coach Nagy, you never know what's going to happen next week, so he might get 2 touches. There's no telling what's going to happen. But then Jonathan Taylor back on top in Indianapolis with 141 yards and 2 TDs. What a week. I didn't put him up here, but T. Higgins as well for the Bengals. Just absolutely slayed out, putting up upwards of 30 points in most leagues. So a good sighting for a lot of people that held on to him, though he hasn't really had a bad week. But let's talk about surprises. All right, so listen. I said Taysom Hill was a must pick up last week. Now, I'm not going to lie, it was still a good play because he got 24-plus points in standard scoring leagues.
This man chucked up 4 picks.
Yeah, he pulled a Jameis.
Don't feel good. I don't feel good.
But he had 264 yards, 2 TDs, 11 carries with 100 yards. This guy out here doing his best Lamar Jackson impersonation from the week before.
If they had Jameis, they would have won the game. I'm going to make that really clear. If they had Jameis, they would have won by 2 touchdowns.
Okay, all right.
Probably, we'll never know, but probably, yeah.
But yeah, if you listen to me on this podcast and you started Taysom Hill, you got a decent chunk of points. You got more points than Josh Allen. That's what all I got to say.
I don't got Josh Allen.
I do, in both leagues. It's what you do. It's what I do. And then we had Indianapolis defense showing up with a pick, 4 sacks, and a shutout against the Houston Texans. We can kind of get into this, but I mean, is it a product of the fact that they're playing the Texans, or is it Indy's D's kind of stepping up lately? What do you think, Anthony?
Well, I mean, when I say the Texans, that's the short answer. But they've been playing solid football the past 3 games, and they're just a good, solid defense. This can be a good playoff run. We're going to talk later about the AFC and how it shifted back to the old tide, unfortunately. But I think it's open. It's gonna be open if they play good defense. Jonathan Taylor keep running the ball. This is a good team to look for in the playoffs.
Yep. What do you think, Nate? You think Indy still got that chance to make that deep run?
Yeah, it seems like they caught a second wind, Like I guess that's what this season is going to be now. I guess the NFL might just become this, where the season's so long with so many weeks being played that teams come out the gate hot, and then we've seen a lot of teams get cold. And just like you were saying, and I'm sure we're about to get into it, but a couple of teams are starting to pick up more steam now that we're on the home stretch.
Yep. Now, Nate, since you're back to winning fantasy football, I'll ask you this question. Indy D, are you sold on them as a viable defense moving forward? Would you, if you had them, would you keep them?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I don't. I mean, the thing is, any defense that'll get you turnovers is great. Like if you don't really care too much about it, there are like safe picks that don't always get blown out, but anybody that can generate turnovers, I'm always going to be happy.
Cool. And then the last of our surprises, I put him as a surprise, but I mean, at this point, if you had him, you're not. You were starting him anyways. But George Kittle showed up for once. I think this is only the second time we've gotten to talk about George Kittle all year. 9 catches for 181 yards and 2 TDs. Maybe he's found his stride. We said that last time, so there's really no reason to go into it. Looks like he's just hit or miss. But if you got George Kittle, you got to start him. But now that the playoffs are starting in most fantasy leagues, let's talk about some pickups that to help you as you make your fantasy push, your playoff push, since half the league's hurt or on the COVID list. So with that being said, Dontrell Hilliard out of Tennessee. Last game they played, they were on a bye last week, but last game they played had 12 carries for 131 yards and 1 TD. This is going to be a running back by committee backfield, but I really think that Dontrell Hilliard is the one that they're going to rely on the most because you don't want to rely on Ryan Tannehill, so you got to rely on someone that's reliable, Moving on down the line, a guy that's probably available in almost every league, Adrian Peterson. I know, before everyone gives me any flack about this one, he did carry the ball 11 times, so he had a lion's share of the carries in Seattle. He only had 16 yards, but he had a touchdown. Now, at this late in the season, if you're looking for a running back, 7 points isn't a bad thing to have on someone you're picking up this late. So maybe consider picking up AP if you got him. Now, a surprise little pickup for this one, Ricky Seals-Jones, tight end for the Washington football team. Tight ends are fairly weak this season, with really only the top 5 being worth, 10 points a game. But Ricky Seals-Jones taking over in Washington with Logan Thomas out. Also, Philly's league worst against tight ends. Ant, do you think Ricky Seals-Jones has what it takes to actually help some people win this game as they're clinching the playoffs next week?
I think the matchup is good because Philly cannot guard tight ends. Their linebackers can't cover. And it's always tight ends are always good security blankets for quarterbacks. So if you get them in that red zone, like I said, like you said about running backs, 5, 6, 7 points might win you your league just because once again, we'll talk about it later. The NFL announced this week, today, 10 more people are out on the COVID list, key players on the football team. So, games are going to be really weird, low-scoring games, and this is a good matchup against the Eagles who can't guard. So, this is a good pickup. I might have to do it.
Sweet. That moves us on to our favorite segment every week. It's still titled Nate's Loss of the Week, but at this point, he's back in the game. Nate, how'd fantasy go for you this weekend?
I'm back, baby. I'm back. Okay, I'm on a win streak. I haven't been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I took down one of the top teams in my league. I gotta say, just a huge shout out. Some of my guys that I've been relying on that I've needed to do well, carried me through this one because I'm still kind of stuck at my running back position situation in this league. Because I had like Michael Carter and Derrick Henry and all that, so I still had Ty Johnson. He didn't do really anything, and Devonta Smith very similarly picked up very little. But thank you, Josh Jacobs, for a huge feast of a game, and Justin Jefferson, who is now my favorite player on the Vikings because I don't think I can name any of the other ones except that quarterback who loses in prime time.
Old Kirk Cousins. Oh, Kirky Kirk. You want to love him, but you also want to hate him.
But there's
Like,
also the two defensive players that love to take people's heads off, right?
yeah, yeah,
Can't
yeah.
forget them.
Man, fantasy football was a wild week. We at Rare Drop Sports League, we finally had a second player. It took 2 weeks. Finally had a second team clinch a playoff spot. Ole Mills, co-host of Overplayed, another Rare Drop Sports podcast. So make sure you check that one out. But of course now he's gonna be talking smack, and I'm like, okay, listen, dude, you only got 13 more points scored all season than me, and you have 4 more losses. He's got one of those teams. He's got one of those teams that just like will do amazing one week and then he'll barely scrape by in the next week. That's why his points are so high. Whereas I'm consistent, 101 points a week, consistent. Consistency is key. But I will tell you this: we didn't talk about it. You know, my big money league that I'm over on ESPN with my games industry friends. You know, I went 4-0 and then I lost 3 in a row. I've won 6 in a row now, so I am 10-3.
Nice.
I mean, this team though. I have Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Dallas Goedert. I picked up Sony Michel because we talked about him last week. He gave me 21 points. Then on my bench, I got Dalvin Cook, DJ Moore, and Cam Newton. So, hey, you know what? Do what you got to do. Moving on down the line, let's talk about what happened this week. Gentlemen, AFC East. Monday night game.
That's Bill Belichick sticking the middle finger at everybody.
So, all right. So New England is now the top of the AFC after taking down the Buffalo Bills 14-10 in a snow game where Mac Jones attempted 3 passes. Okay.
It's beautiful. Look, this is the textbook. I'm playing Madden. I've got a team that can run. The other team has Tre'Davious White. I just decide, you know what? What if I just don't throw the ball at all? What if I just don't throw the football and just entirely game plan everything about running nonstop? That's what this game. It's straight up. It happened in real life, and everybody's looking way too much into this game because of how just ridiculous it was. But I mean, for me, it just comes down right. If you can scheme and coach it, and the players can execute, you can pretty much do anything. These guys are talented enough to make it work somehow. And yeah, I don't know. Aside from that, yes, my head exploded watching this one because I'm like, I was very happy. My opponent in fantasy did have Kendrick Bourne, so I was like, okay, great. He did not do anything, and neither did Dawson Knox.
Like that's bad coaching adjustment. You see them run the ball once, twice, then they keep doing it. Won't you stack the box? Won't you call timeout and say, hey, I think we got a trend here. They're running the ball. They kept doing it. It's like a slap in the face. And Belichick, I hate him. He finds ways, man. Mac Jones, he threw 3 passes. Man,
they carried the ball 46 times for 222 yards.
He's gonna walk into the
Unreal.
playoffs. It's unreal. Crazy.
I mean, hey, you know, just dual-headed running back system with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson just absolutely tearing it up for almost 200 yards between the two of them. I mean, it's also never a good day when Josh Allen's the leading rusher for the Bills, right? Like, you have Devin Singletary, who's a starter on every other team in the league, and you're telling me that you can't feed him the ball more than 10 times. I know you were down, but you were never down by more than 4 points. Makes no sense to me. Makes 0 sense to me. And I think a big thing that came out of this is all the questioning for Sean McDermott's play calling and clock management in games and the decisions that he makes. And I think it started to show his weakness. This is something that everyone says year in and year out, that Sean McDermott comes up a little short when it comes to some of the bigger coaching decisions mid-game. And I think this proves it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They had this division.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be the passing of the guards, and it's just like the second half they've just been falling through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't get it.
Y'all mad. Y'all wanted someone else but New England to win that division.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. At least we're honest.
I would have took the Jets or somebody. Shit, I don't.
You know what? I would be happy if the Finns had done it instead of them too. At this point, I just want to see anybody in this division overcome them. But apparently, not even the Bills can do it.
Nope, not even the Bills.
Don't like Belichick. Damn winner, man.
Oh my goodness. Moving on down the line, Arizona's back on track with another win over the Bears. Kyler Murray throwing for 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, but running for another 59. This was just a ground and pound game for Arizona. Kyler Murray did have 4 touchdowns total, so that helps, but just kind of looks like Cliff and crew kind of figured out what they need to do to win games, and it doesn't look like they're relying on Kyler Murray's arm. Do you think Nate, do you think it looks like they have what it takes to alter their game plan every week? Because that's what it looked like. It looks like they just altered their game plan.
Yeah. Look, I am in love with the Cardinals. We haven't really been able to talk about them as much because, obviously without Kyler Murray, it's a whole. It does feel it is a different team, I think. But I only got to see a little bit of the game, some of the highlights, but they were all exactly what I wanted to see, which is they're just going out there and getting wins, and they make it look clean, even if it's not by a big margin. My favorite thing about the Cardinals is their game plan just seems to be really consistent. Whatever it is for that week, it's just smooth. And I can't wait to see this team in the playoffs with Kyler. I hope he stays healthy. I love watching him play.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on the other side of the ball, though, let's talk about a quarterback that started to look like his old self, and Andy Dalton. Over 50% passing completion, so that's a stat. Everything else was not great, being sacked 3 times, threw 4 picks. Only 230 yards thrown. Anthony, at this point, has Andy Dalton kind of proved that he's just a backup moving forward?
Yeah. He's in there to, if somebody gets hurt, fill in, or that veteran leadership. You hear that a lot with older quarterbacks. He's just there for the locker room leadership and give advice. But yeah, him starting every game, no, you gotta let that go.
Not gonna happen. Great, yeah. You hate to see it. I really liked having ginger representation in the league. But, speaking of this game, though, Moss fan brings it up in chat. I think this game puts Kyler Murray back in MVP talks. He missed a couple games, but he is back in the talks for MVP.
Yes.
Yeah, with James.
Moss fan, always with the best takes.
Yeah, he does. You're the man, Moss fan.
Wait, with who? Anthony?
Not that Moss fan with the great takes.
No, who is he in the MVP talks with?
helpful.
Who's Kyler in the MVP talks with?
We can talk about that.
Look, Kyler's just really fortunate that he doesn't have Jameis to compete with anymore. We can all accept that.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
We wouldn't have this conversation.
Sometimes I question the fact that I go live with this podcast every week. But here we are. Hey, we got a W in Detroit. The Lions coming in.
Hey, congratulations. Detroit might listen to this. Shout out to you.
Great to see the Lions win it. And I'm going to be honest, when it comes to the Lions, there's a lot of moving parts that have made it to where this team doesn't win. And I think none of that rests on Jared Goff's shoulders. This guy has done everything he can for this team, and he's not a bad quarterback. But watching this game, Minnesota should have won it. Madison showed up. Kirk Cousins looked great. 30 of 40 for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. Goff was sacked 3 times for 24 yards. They held Detroit to only 100 yards rushing, but Detroit just looked like a complete team, besides the fact that they fumbled the ball a lot. But they looked like a complete team for once. Nate, are we going to turn it around, or are they just going to lose everything else?
Well, I think it's a bit early to say turning it around. If you watch this game, it was definitely a messy one, and by no means towards the end had they guaranteed themselves that they were going to be there. They won it on the last play. It's awesome, great story, all of that. Just I have nothing. I'm not going to try to take anything away from this dub, but my expectations for the rest of the season, not so bright as the result of this one.
No. Now, results that we are looking forward to, and the reason I'm wearing this shirt, Minshew Mania's back in Philadelphia, bringing the mustache back. Gardner Minshew showing up in Philly, bringing them to the win, looking like a perfect quarterback. Now, Nate, I'm sorry it's against the Jets, but I'm so glad that Gardner Minshew's back, because this guy should have been a starter. If you're asking me, he is who Carolina should have got over Sam Darnold.
I like Minshew. I like him a lot. I'll be real. I'm a much bigger fan as far as Philly specifically is concerned. I think Philadelphia has their guy in Hurts. I like Hurts. I think he's got great potential. But I was very happy that with the way things turned out, Minshew got to look good. Like I could say whatever I want about that game, but yeah, no, he made some really great throws, picked apart the coverage, and you really, I mean, the Jets have been very weak against the screen passes and covering the tight ends, and he just absolutely obliterated them on that regard. Like, he has that awareness, and I think that Minshew, I don't think if you watch that game, you can legitimately say every other quarterback in the NFL has been playing better than that, because that's not true.
I think we've seen this before in Philadelphia. Remember when Wentz went down? Nick Foles came in there and won a Super Bowl. I'm not saying Minshew will do that, but can you imagine if he did? The mustaches, the jorts.
I would have to go. I'd have to go back, reclaim my Pennsylvania residency, and become an Eagles fan. Okay, because Gardner Minshew has too much swag to not. He's gonna completely take over the Northeast if that happened.
I would have to dress like him. I swear, if he does that, I'm
gonna cut my right here.
I already dress like him.
Everybody on this show has beards. Okay, if Gardner Minshew's in the playoffs, we might just have to end up going for the Minshew style.
Okay, hold on. Before you all commit us to that, no, I'm not cutting my beard off.
I tried.
This is my whole brand.
You don't have to. No. I understand it takes a long time to get it that big. You got a beautiful, glorious beard. I will do it if Gardner Minshew is starting in the playoffs. There you go.
I will do it as well.
I have nothing to lose. It takes like 5 days to grow my beard back.
I'm wearing Jorts right now.
I mean, but me, I'll wear mine a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So so
skies out, thighs out.
Yeah, absolutely. 100s and thunder thighs.
I need to get. I can't believe I don't own any jorts. Huh.
Dude, jorts
Minshew's
are like
changing my wardrobe already.
Let's talk about this. Jorts are the most versatile piece of clothing. Listen,
I've never worn before.
Okay.
I've never worn before.
I'm wearing them right now. Jorts.
The only time I saw was Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's the only time I saw somebody wear.
Probably better if I do it on this leg with that brand new shiny art on my leg. But jorts, they're versatile. I wore them on a first date last night, and you know what? She complimented me on my jorts. And she's like, it really works with the aesthetic. But also, you can wear them casually around the house because it's like wearing shorts. It's great.
But it's not like wearing shorts because, I wear basketball shorts.
Mm-hmm.
They're comfortable. They stretch. I can do stretchy moves all day.
Bruh.
I feel like with jorts,
These are stretchy.
you probably can't. Here's the thing, though. We said it before the show. It fits you like your coffee mug. It fits you like Nate's sunglasses. It fits him. That fits you. I couldn't wear jorts. But if he makes it to the playoffs, I damn sure will rock the whole outfit. Absolutely.
I can't wait to see this.
Absolutely.
I'm going to buy you an Eagle shirt and some jorts.
Yep. Rock it.
But we'll move on down the line. Tua.
Yeah. I got some stuff to say about.
Let's talk about it. That's your tee up. That's all you get. Tua.
So this is Tua is doing what a lot of people who had faith in him was going to do, let him play.
Mm-hmm.
He's growing into the role. 5 straight games with 100+ quarterback rating. He had the best QBR this week.
Mm-hmm.
He just does it. It doesn't look pretty. I think the problem with people, and now I'm gonna go straight to you because you had an issue with Jameis early in the season. Other people want to see gaudy numbers. They want to see quarterbacks throw for 300+ yards, throw it down the field.
Well, hold on. Before you continue this, all I wanted was Jameis to throw for more than 120 yards a game.
Can you stop talking about the MVP?
You can't help it. He got with a dirty hit. It was a dirty hit. He's been injured. If somebody rips your Achilles, I ain't going to complain that your stats weren't good enough.
Exactly. Okay. So Tua's not like that. Tua's not going to stretch the ball down the field. He's going to dot you up the 10 to 15-yard range. He's going to keep the ball moving. If you watch these games lately, he's finding Waddle. We had Devontae Parker come back, which is a big target. He's getting Mike Gesicki involved. He's getting the ball a lot quicker because we don't have the best offensive line, and he's just completing the ball. The completion rating is high. Now, what this makes this interesting is the offseason. The way Tua is playing, and somehow if Tua gets Miami in the playoffs, I can tell you that we will not go for Deshaun Watson. And with the struggles with Carolina and Denver, with the way they are with their quarterback play. You saw Teddy B. He didn't play that well. Carolina, you're going to have some conversations with Cam. I know you're going to talk about that later.
Yep.
I think we just saved ourselves from giving up 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks for Deshaun Watson. I think we just saved that. We can use it for the draft because Tua is looking like if we just add more fat people in front of him and a running game, we have something in Miami. I know I was one of the people who wanted Deshaun Watson, but I think this offseason it's going to be Carolina and Denver who might fight for Deshaun Watson. They need him more than Miami. Tua is playing amazing.
I mean, and you mentioned it. Let's talk about it. I mean, Tua's got a big 3 now in Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, and Gesicki. Like, you talk about 3 stud targets that he can throw to. As long as he's not making stupid decisions, like, those guys are going to catch everything that come their way.
Exactly, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen. They're using Waddle the same way they used Tyreek Hill in like a season or 2 ago. He is moving, he is running side to side before the snap. He is getting the ball in his hand and let him run. I love how Brian Flores is changing the way the offense needs to be. Waddle's our number 1 receiver, but he's not playing a traditional wide out. Like, he is all over the field. It's really fun and exciting that Miami is in the playoff race. 5 straight wins. Let's just hope we got a favorable schedule down the.
You guys find a way to mess up New England, please.
yeah. Do it for the Jets.
Yeah.
I'm channeling for you.
Yeah. Man, now, speaking of players who aren't going to help their team moving forward, moving on down to the how many times am I going to say moving on down? Let's get a meme edit of me saying that as we go through the podcast.
Moving on down.
Moving on down. That's the opposite of the Jeffersons. Injury report for this week's not great, as Anthony mentioned. So many people out on the COVID list this week, but we won't talk specifically about them. But let's talk about Corey Davis, a core injury, out for the season. I mean, okay.
Yeah, that injury sounds as ambiguous as his play this year. I don't know. It's unfortunate. I don't really understand exactly what it was because all they said was core injury, he needs surgery. But
like tearing an abductor muscle or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like I have no idea.
I don't have abs, so I wouldn't know what that's like.
I've been trying to find more information on this, and I have not. So people were talking about it, but most of the sentiment on the Jets fan side of things is, well, okay, I guess.
Yes.
Everybody's kind of hyped about Elijah Moore now, so that's pretty much all anyone's talking about on our side.
And then Nate's favorite quarterback, Danny Dimes, out another week. I'm just we don't know the extent of Daniel Jones's injury, so I think just keeping him out is good. But then Kenyon Drake breaks his ankles, out for the year. How you break your ankle?
I saw this. I saw the play. So he got held up by a defender, and the defender fell on his ankle after it was like a horse collar, and the defender fell on his ankle and snapped his ankle. It wasn't a pleasant thing. It was Drake actually tweeted about it, about how the tackling was really like cheap, but they didn't see it. But they'll look at a quarterback that gets like touching the shoulder and is roughing the passer.
Yeah.
So some big guy fell on his ankle, and it wasn't pretty.
Let's get some good news, though. Julio Jones is set to return for the Titans. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this for Ryan Tannehill?
11.
20.
20. I think Julio turns the Titans around. I mean, not like they're instantly a Super Bowl contender, but back in the playoff race with Julio. Ryan Tannehill's not trying to force everything to a litany of who's who in his receiving core. And then keeping it with the Titans, it looks like all the reports for Derrick Henry sound good, which is good news after the injury that he has. Diana Rossini is reporting that there is optimism that Derrick Henry will be back in early January, which if you make a run for the playoffs.
Oh, dear God, if he comes back.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's wild. We can see what happens. And then we have the top storylines this week. Big news coming out of Carolina. We talked about Carolina last week with the hot seat, Matt Rule being on the hot seat, but it looks like someone else in Carolina, who I mentioned probably should have gone. Joe Brady, offensive coordinator, fired for Carolina. I'm just going to be honest. You hate to see it for a young offensive mind like Joe Brady, but I just don't. I think from a fan's perspective, it didn't look like he was ready to have that much responsibility on the NFL level. Like maybe he should have been a receivers coach or something like that, or a co-offensive coordinator helping out with that. But for a team that's had offensive woes since week 4, someone's got to take the fall. And, you know, Joe Brady was a part of the talks to get Sam Darnold, was a part of the talks to get Teddy Bridgewater, was a part of the talks to bring Cam back in. And it seems like Dave Tepper's committed to Matt Rule, so you got to get rid of someone. Now, the good news coming out of this, though, is that Nixon, who was Matt Rule's offensive coordinator at Baylor, whenever they turned that program around and went to the Sugar Bowl, is now the offensive coordinator for Carolina. So a little bit more on the same page, guys that have been together for a while. Just excited to see what's going to happen, mainly because I'm going to be at Nixon's first game as the offensive coordinator on Sunday in Charlotte. So let's see if we can get some fun stuff happening against Atlanta. Now, moving on down the line, Big Ben. Big Ben, reports coming out from inside the Steelers HQ. This is Big Ben's last season in Pittsburgh. Not that any of us question this.
Wow. What a surprise.
Darn.
Oh my
Now,
God.
No.
I am
Someone else will
shocked.
finally play quarterback in Pittsburgh and can try to turn that dumpster fire around.
But here's the deal. They're all saying it's just his last season in Pittsburgh. Does that mean he wants to keep playing?
He's trying to.
If he wants to-
chasing a ring.
I mean, if he wants to embarrass himself a little bit more, sure, I guess. But
Yeah.
Nothing will
I
ever
would-
beat him falling and tearing his own pec.
I mean, you might see him like on a team that is
Carolina.
quarterback away from the Super Bowl. Like I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting offseason of different quarterbacks because they can make a run for Deshaun Watson too.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, we'll
mean,
see. Man, the big shocker there. Some cool news coming out. We got all the Man of the Year nominees named for each team. If you guys don't know, Walter Payton Man of the Year. Every team nominates a singular player that has made a difference to the community in which they play. I feel like Man of the Year doesn't get the press that it deserves because this is a really cool thing that the NFL does to really highlight what these players are doing off the field. And I know you two can probably talk about the great things that your teams do off the field and what their players do. It's really cool. Like Cam Newton was nominated and Thomas Davis were nominated for Carolina all the time because of what they've done for Charlotte. And the fact that they stay around, you know, Cam Newton running camps out there. But now they got DJ Moore nominated out of Carolina. And it's just cool to see that, you know, they take their time outside, away from the team to really make sure that the communities that they're working and living in are better. What do you guys think? Like, am I wrong in saying that doesn't give enough coverage? Like, right? Like, I feel like it should.
yeah, look, I think especially with, you know, without going into anything, but with the political climate, with everything the last couple of years, having people out there that are just trying to do right by their communities and be that role model that, you know, when I think of, you know, what makes somebody like a good person or, you know, a real man, it's being a leader. It's inspiring people. It's making the people that are around you feel either safe or secure to pursue their dreams. And I think, yeah, this is hopefully it's something that they continue to put more of a spotlight on. I was happy that it seems like the media side got it out from everybody. And yeah, it's just a great program because at the end of the day, what's the point of being able to do all this cool stuff if we're not trying to give anything back to the people that make it possible?
Yep. What do you think, Anthony?
It's fantastic. Like you have to go out your way to do this, and it means a lot because yeah, you could just focus on yourself and the games and whatnot, but the fact is they take their time after the game and they take their days off and they help out the community. I know Jerome Baker was nominated for Miami, and the fact is he's there on a Saturday. He's there helping out the kids, and I love it. You know, if you're working with the kids and you're helping them out, that means a lot to me. And you know, it doesn't get a lot of limelight, and it should, because all the stuff like Nate said that's going on in the world, they're trying to bring good to somebody, make somebody's day.
Yeah, I mean, NFL put out a video on Twitter about it, kind of highlighting and announcing every nominee. And I think the one that stuck with me the most was Jonathan Allen from Washington Football Team. He gets up there and he's like, "Hey, I grew up in foster care and I still made it here." And I think there's a lot to that as well. Is These guys are role models and they're heroes to the kids in the communities that they play in. So to have that awesome like role model and figure in front of them, it's awesome that the NFL continues to highlight them. And I'm excited to see who wins. It's not. I mean, I feel like if you're nominated, that's a win, right? Like getting the Walter Payton statue is awesome, but
there's 32 winners.
Just getting nominated actually gets a contribution to a charity of the player's choice too.
Yep.
So that's just awesome in and of itself.
Exactly. And then Cooper Kupp had an awesome little touchdown analysis of one of his plays. If you guys haven't seen it, Cooper Kupp being asked about a touchdown after his after the game, and comes up and says they just had a little 3 deep fire zone, brought the nickel off the edge, safety drop down. They didn't look like they were going to do a replacement fire zone, so I knew with the back away we were going to get 3 pushing through. I had the opportunity to kind of run in there and see if I could beat my guy. I just had to beat the safety to the end zone. What? This guy, you think that Cooper Kupp is just an athlete, and then you hear this and you understand that he has the football acumen, if you will, to win it. Anthony, it's how do you even process this?
What was great? He had a straight face the whole entire time when he was saying this. Like he's about football. He lives, breathes, he eats football, and that was like a beautiful thing. Like if you know football, that was really cool to listen to. But yeah, if I'm the reporter, I'm probably like, all right, back to you.
Like, why you gotta embarrass me like that?
I don't know.
It's not great. But with our rookie recap this week, we only got 2 players to talk about. Nate, Mac Jones threw 3 passes. Does this?
You know what? This is the most. Okay, I don't have to give Belichick credit in saying this. This is just what happens. You don't throw the game away. I don't know. Did he have an option to audible out of the run? I would not be surprised if he had the reins taken out of his hands for that sort of thing in this game, because their strategy seemed pretty cultivated in terms of the way that they were going to play it all out. They clearly knew what they were going to be doing going into it. There's no takeaway. I don't think there's any takeaway. Congratulations, you didn't fumble the snap or the handoff.
You know who never had 3 passes attempted in a game? Tom Brady. That tells me that Bill Belichick's not as doesn't have as much faith in Mac Jones.
Bill Belichick didn't trust Tom Brady to let him run the ball all game ever. How crazy is that?
I mean, you didn't need to. You had Tom Brady. Like you fine.
I mean, this just really strengthens my argument that Mac Jones is not that great of a quarterback.
Oh, well, no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What did he do? What did he do wrong in the game? What did he do wrong?
If he's such a great quarterback, why didn't his coach have faith in him to help win the game?
He's a rookie. He is a rookie quarterback. Why are you giving a rookie quarterback so much flack? Like, he is doing better than any rookie right now.
Let the Patriots hate through. Just let it through.
The hate is real. Welcome.
I'm just saying.
Welcome.
I'm just saying. Anywho, Kyle Pitts.
Actually, I did.
Oh, go ahead.
I did want to say this because we didn't have it on our injury report, and I don't know if anybody saw the start of the 49ers Seahawks game, but Trent Cannon did. He is okay. Because they took him in an ambulance to the hospital. But I was reading about this. He was one of my favorite, secondary players on the Jets. But yeah, he's fine. He had a concussion, but they said he was able to fly home, and he's okay. So
sweet.
It's really scary. It's really scary, of course, when you see someone get hit like that. It was a really big one, so just wanted to say that he's
sweet.
All right.
Thank you for including that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you put these runs of show together, there's so much to do, you forget things.
I feel you. I made a mental note to make sure.
Perfect. Other rookie we're talking about, Kyle Pitts. This Kyle Pitts is having the most quiet rookie season that's tearing it up. Had 4 catches for 48 yards. He's averaging like 14.5 yards a catch. And at this point, I think if Kyle Pitts just had a quarterback, he'd be rookie of the year, right, Nate?
Well, the problem is I like him. I like Kyle Pitts, but again, you've got the problem of being on the Falcons a little bit when they're headed towards a rebuild. That's how I see it anyway. So there's only so many opportunities he's going to get, but he looks good. I think he's got a long career ahead of him. Whether they're going to get a ring anytime soon, debatable.
Debatable. Fair. All right, now we have a kind of a special edition of the hot seat. This time we're talking about players that really need to figure out what they're going to do. We'll go into it. We already talked about Minshew Mania, Jalen Hurts. You know, Jalen Hurts on the hot seat after one Gardner Minshew outing, Anthony?
No, it's kind of like you need to like wake up. You need to like study those plays harder. But no, because that they got rid of Carson, and they said, hey, Jalen is our guy. He's just going through a little hiccup right now. Every team should have a good backup, and I think this is a good backup right here that could take them to the Super Bowl. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and Nate, I want to ask you about this. Jalen Hurts didn't look good passing the ball the past couple games that he played in, but Gardner Minshew did instantly. Do you think that has a bigger impact on the decision here than we're putting on it, or is it just, hey, Jalen Hurts is still our guy?
Like there comes a point where unless Minshew basically turns into Tom Brady or something like that, and he's just obliterating everything out of nowhere, Eagles fans, you can only take so much pain. At some point, the quarterback carousel nightmare has to stop, because it's not. I never, at no point have I thought that Wentz was washed or a bad quarterback. I thought the injuries definitely hurt him. He lost a little bit of his step coming back. But what the fans went through with all of that, the fans didn't deserve that. You know, say whatever you want about how crazy Eagles fans can be. Nobody wants to see their team go through that. To do it again, yeah, I don't have any reasoning or logic to go into, but I don't know. That's a scary subject, I think.
Yeah. Another quarterback that we're talking about, Cam Newton. Carolina coming off a bye week. Cam's had time to learn this offense. You say he has time to learn this offense, but they just fired their offensive coordinator. How are we thinking Cam's going to do? I mean, from my perspective, I think you rely more on the run. Chuba Hubbard and Amir Abdullah can be a good dual threat, or a good dual-headed monster in the backfield for Cam, and I think they should rely on that. But Anthony, is this make or break week for Cam? I mean, he's got signed to a 1-year deal. It's prove yourself and we'll bring you back.
Look, you didn't sign Cam for him to air it out 40, 50 times. You got to establish a good running game. I think a lot of quarterbacks, they get in trouble when they don't have a good running game and they are forced to throw the ball, because it's just like, for Cam's sake, that's never been his thing. His thing is to have a good running game, him like getting the ball out past the pocket and making throws down the field. But it all starts with that running game. So like, Cam needs to step it up. I mean, it's not about learning the offense anymore. He needs to make adjustments on the fly, but the running game is very important to him. So,
yeah. Hey, how much of this can we take off of Cam and actually put on the offensive line? Carolina's had, I think, 13 different offensive line combinations this season. Nate,
I will give you a little bit of a pass, because I know that you guys have had Pat Elflein, and we dealt with him with Darnold. Darnold must know him very well. And now Cam gets to meet him too.
You know what position he's playing now, right?
Rid of him. I don't know if you guys have gotten rid of him yet.
He's playing center now because our center's out.
Okay, yeah. So exactly, right? So I mean, it's man, I feel like I've already said mean enough things.
I feel like Carolina just needs to start Brady Christensen, their 3rd round or 4th round, whenever they drafted him, left tackle out of BYU. We talked about him before. He was the guy that made Zach Wilson who he is. You know, if you have a good left tackle, makes quarterback look better.
It helps a lot. It helps a lot.
You're talking about a guy who, for the week that he started at left tackle, was the highest rated left tackle in the league. Why are you not starting him Okay, this Matt Rule, you're still in the hot seat, because I just thought about it. They
need. They're gonna need. You know, like, hey, when a team recognizes that need, it's important to focus on it. Like, that's where those picks need to be going. I mean, we picked up offensive linemen top 15 the last 2 drafts for a reason.
Yeah. I just, Carolina, don't suck this week. Thank you. James Robinson out of Jacksonville. How concerned are we that James Robinson got benched in the loss to LA? He's been having a standout year, has 1 bad game. And Anthony, are you even worried about James Robinson, or is it kind of like whenever they bench Cam in Carolina, he just needs a reset and you'll get back out there next week?
And sometimes you're just like, hey, it's not your game. It happens to everybody. So hey, just come chill over here and let's see if we can get the spark from somebody else. It is Jacksonville. I forgot they were playing in the NFL. So I mean, it is them. They're running against the Rams, who came off of a tough loss last week, and they was going to take it out on the next person.
Yep.
And the Rams defense is just ridiculous.
Exactly. And then the hot seat. We have a hot seat for the entire quarterback room of the New Orleans Saints.
Not everyone. Just not everyone in the quarterback room.
You can't convince me that if Sean Payton has the chance to to get a top 10 quarterback, whether that's a free agent or in the draft, he's not going to do it. You can't convince me, even with Jameis being hurt.
He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it.
That depends if a quarterback makes a really big throw on pro day and suddenly he becomes the number 2 pick. All right? If that happens, maybe they'll bite.
But Taysom Hill, obviously not the solution that I thought he was going to be. You want to love Taysom Hill. You really do. You want to.
No, you don't.
I'll say this. Here's my devil's advocate. Taysom Hill, if we are always okay with this whole, hey, a rookie's got to get his butt kicked for a whole season before we can start to judge him, blah, blah, blah. Maybe Taysom Hill just needs to actually start multiple games and actually become the leader of the team. I'm not going to say that I think that he has the potential to be like this starting quarterback and carry the team for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. But I do think that if you're willing to take anybody who's new to being a starting NFL quarterback, which is the hardest job in the league, if you're willing to give other people benefit of the doubt for it, for multiple games up to multiple seasons, you have to be willing to give him some wiggle room. Will he ever actually get the chance to start
Sean
the rest
Payton
of the season
is
out?
too wishy-washy.
Yeah, maybe, but probably not. So, I mean, his position is impossible. He's been a gadget player, but they're like, no, now you're a real NFL quarterback. Do that. And it's like, that's still a huge adjustment to make. You go from being one of those guys to being the guy.
Yeah, it's wild. Because, I mean, despite what Anthony says, you do want to see Taysom Hill do well because he's done so much for the Saints his entire career. Right, he's a gadget player. He has said yes, sir, to every time Sean Payton's like, hey, go do that. Every time. He is a team player that only wants his team to win, and you do want to see him succeed, whether that's as a quarterback or a receiver or a running back or whatever he's doing. I mean, but at the same time, we do have to talk about the fact that his career stats, he has 6 touchdown passes to 8 interceptions. Was this a bad game? Maybe. So we'll see. We'll see. I want Taysom Hill to succeed. Anthony, what you said about him doesn't matter. Taysom Hill is an awesome person.
First of all, I say he wasn't an awesome person. I think he's a good gadget player. I just said that they have their solution at quarterback. He's just taking this year off. Mm-hmm. He needs to heal up, but they have their solution. And when Jameis come back, we will see the MVP form that we were seeing in the beginning of the year. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let's talk about our new section, contenders or pretenders. We're at that point in the season where the playoffs are looming and just really want to understand who's going to make it and who's going to flounder. Let's just start with the Titans. We've talked about them probably about every week of the past 6 weeks. Nate, let's go into it. The Titans, they got Julio coming back. It looks like they've established a run game with Hilliard. Does that make them contenders, or are we still pretending because Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback?
I as much as I want to like them, I think they're in the pretender category only because this team's just lost too much heat. If they somehow manage to bloody and bruised limp their way into the playoffs and Derrick Henry comes back and the rest of these guys that we've been talking about that have been coming in and out like Julio Jones and all that, if they're all there, then I can see this turning into some Cinderella story type thing. But I don't think this team has the steam to make it in at this point, especially with some of the other AFC guys starting to wake up.
No. What do you think, Anthony?
I just call them pretenders because of Tannehill. Like they have Derrick Henry won't be back until January, so I just don't feel like they have enough juice, and I haven't seen progression out of Tannehill. So I just got to put in that pretender thing, but that could change if they can, bloody their way into the playoffs.
There's definitely a few wins. There's definitely a few wins still on the table for them, but it's, I don't know.
Well, their
It's
division's not great.
They got to
so-
survive. They got to survive till the injury situation is back together, right?
No.
That's the most important thing.
Any division game
Yeah.
that's not Indianapolis is a win for them, right? So
Should be.
Yeah.
Should be. Yeah.
should be. I mean, you get Jacksonville and Houston, so we'll see. What about the Patriots, Anthony? Contender or pretender?
Well, they're the best team in the AFC, so unfortunately, they're contenders. Like I don't. They play stout. They play stout defense. They now have identity in the running game, and you know what? Matt Jones is good enough a quarterback to take them, unfortunately, deep into the playoff run. He doesn't turn the ball over.
Is good enough gonna win you the Super Bowl though?
You remember when Brady won his first one? He was not established. He did just enough with good special teams and good defense to win the Super Bowl. Maybe this is calling. I hate Belichick.
Nate,
Hate him. Just hate him.
Nate, do you hate Belichick as much as Anthony?
Yeah, of course I do. Of course. I mean, you know how many times I have to deal with this crap every time I meet somebody who's like, oh, you have a beard. You've been alive for a long time. And they're like, oh, yeah, how about that napkin resignation? I'm like, I was 4 years old when that happened. Stop throwing that trash in my face. I don't care about this BS, but now I have to hear about it until the day that I die, or at least Belichick's out of the league. And of course, he just, obviously ruined everybody's childhoods that was born in the 90s because you haven't seen your team even be close to getting the division, or any other team for that matter. I'll just stop my rant right here. Yeah, not a huge fan of Belichick, but the team's definitely legit because they're good. They're good. You got to respect the game. I respect the game. I don't respect the coach.
Fair. So next we got the Bengals. Nate, we're just gonna you're heated. Let's keep going. The Bengals, are we contenders or pretenders? They're 7-5. They're 3-3 at home. Joe Burrow is hit or miss every week, it seems, but Jamar Chase and T. Higgins kind of carrying that team as wide receiver duo. What thoughts do you have on Cincinnati?
I love them. I love Joe Burrow. I love Jamar Chase. I love Joe Mixon. I think they got a lot of great, really strong pieces. This is a team that I can see really surprising a lot of people next season. Like, I can see this as a low loss count team, honestly. It's a bit scrappy. Burrow coming off the injury is something that's really important to keep in mind. So I give them a little bit of slack there. Chase has to grow into the position, obviously. But you add a couple more pieces around this squad, Bengals going to be real fun to watch going forward.
That's the thing. They're fun to watch. I want to see them in the playoffs. Like I want them to. Joe Burrows is that tough quarterback, man. Like you see his pinky. His pinky was like so badly swollen on his throwing hand, and he still was slinging the ball. I like this team, up and coming. They're young. It's just exciting to watch. They are contenders. I got them there.
All right. And then what about the Cowboys? And we're going to start with Anthony because I know Nate has some thoughts on the Cowboys. Anthony, I mean, let's be honest. Dak Prescott again is hit or miss this season. He's either balling out or he's not. Zeke doesn't look like Zeke, even though he's still putting up yards. It just doesn't feel like they're relying on him too much. But Cowboys, contenders or pretenders?
This is a pretender team that's going to make the playoffs and have home field advantage. It's just we know we've seen this a lot from time to time. I like Dak. Their running game has a lot of question marks. I just don't feel it. I just don't. And I'm not trying to be a Dallas hater, but nah.
All right, Nate, unleash
Oh,
it.
I agree. I look at their remaining schedule. They're going to lose to Washington twice, and then they might beat the Giants. The Giants aren't super great. They're going to get
Well,
creamed.
the
by
Giants will have
Arizona.
Danny Dimes back.
Yeah, that'll make it even easier for them to beat New York. So that's nice. And then Arizona and Philly should stomp them. I agree with Moss saying in the chat with another great take. Tony Pollard over Zeke. I love Pollard. I don't. There's the consistency out of the top performance. Like has Zeke had insanely good games? Yes, he's had a lot of them. Has Prescott had good games? Yeah, I would say he's had plenty of his crazy highlight moments where guys are like, "This is the guy." But the problem is there's the consistency just isn't there. You can't rely on them to carry you through tough games. And if you can't rely on your RB1 and your QB1 to carry you through tough games, they shouldn't be your RB1 and your QB1.
Yeah. Fair. Well, now all we have to do is look forward to next week. I put 2 games on here, but if there's anything else we want to talk about, first of all, let's just talk about Atlanta, Carolina, mainly because I'm going to be there. I mean, this is a battle let's talk about this first. Both teams are technically still in the playoff race at 5-7.
The Falcons are the least interesting team in the NFL this season, I think.
Are you forgetting about Cordell Patterson?
Yeah, but that's like if you're into fantasy, Cordell Patterson is only exciting because he's been like a troll pick for the last 3 or 4 seasons, and now he's finally good. Speaking of, I actually beat him this week, so not as hot.
Well, he didn't have like his weakest week this week, so come on.
But he's like his own thing, Like we could have the Cordell Patterson section of the show where we talk about players that shouldn't be doing well but do well. But the Atlanta Falcons, like, what are you excited about? What's got you hyped up about Atlanta? Nothing. Nothing for me. And
I mean,
the Carolina Panthers have had a tough year. But there's still some stuff to be excited about. I think the whole Cam thing's obviously interesting. And they're a team that's definitely hungry for some wins. I see it a lot more than I see out of the Falcons. So I'm going to go with Carolina on this one.
Okay. What about you, Anthony?
It's just because you're going to the game. I wouldn't look forward to this game. I'm
Wow.
gonna pick Carolina. I'm gonna pick Carolina. I'm gonna pick Carolina. I like him, and I think I hope you enjoy the game. That's my thing. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, keep an eye out for me in the stands. Apparently, we're making signs.
We probably will find you easily.
Yeah, I'm right behind the Atlanta bench, so if they zoom in on people talking crap on Matt Ryan, it's probably going to be me.
Yeah, I hope you have a great time.
But the other game we're looking at is the Raiders at Kansas City. Now, this is a story of 2 teams, right, for Las Vegas. And
I love this game.
I can't wait to see it because this is the Raiders' chance to kind of reestablish themselves. But also Kansas City and their defense is on a roll right now. And that's wild to say it's not Kansas City and Pat Mahomes are on a roll. It's Kansas City and their defense are on a roll right now. When we picked their defense full of holes earlier this season, Anthony, what is it going to take for Las Vegas to win this game?
They need to outscore Kansas City, and I know it sounds really funny, but
they just got to score more points to the other team.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes is having a little struggle. He had his defense help him get the win. I think if the Raiders put up a good amount of points, I don't know if Mahomes can match it. So I just think that they need to come out there and then they play style defense. I think people are picking up on Mahomes, but good defensive play, and then they just need to make big plays down the field.
No. What about you, Nate? What's the deciding factor here in this game?
This is the prove it game for KC going into the playoffs. As strange as that might sound, because I think Vegas has been a really good underdog upset team this season. I think they've actually have been fun to watch. Their team has obviously been going through a tremendous amount of adversity, and the people who are still there, they have to deal with the problems that the people who are no longer there left behind, and that's a lot to try to overcome. That's a lot to play through. But for the Chiefs, they had that wobbly start to the year, so I like the Chiefs here, but they need to win this one decisively. I think if they play down to Vegas's level, this one gets ugly. But it's really important for establishing themselves to the rest of the league because we still have these kinds of question marks with teams like Tennessee and New England. You don't want to give Belichick anything to pull out, and then you're like, okay, somehow New England plays KC in round 1, and that's it. Oh my God, Chiefs are out. Like, what happened here? They need to look strong. They need to do what they do best and not have to scramble or bring out any of their secrets to get through this game.
Yep. I agree. I think Kansas City just needs to play lockdown defense like they have been the past few weeks, and Pat Mahomes just not do Pat Mahomes turnovers from this season, and they take it. Vegas just got to have a lot of things come together. The Vegas's defensive line is going to put a lot of pressure on Pat Mahomes, so I'm excited to see how that works out. And then a game I didn't put on here, but I just saw and I just remembered. Monday night, we have the Rams at the Cardinals. So a battle of the NFC West of two of the better teams in the NFC. Hey, Nate, let's talk about it. The last time this game happened, Arizona put a beating on the Rams. And now the Rams are looking a little bit better after a shaky few games with Odell Beckham Jr. What do the Rams have to do to beat Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, and crew?
I'm not entirely sure, if I'm being honest. I think the Cardinals are excelling at every place as far as a football team can excel at. I really like everything they've been putting together on the offense. I love Hopkins. I love Murray. The changes that they've had to make at the running back position haven't hurt them at all. I like watching James Conner play. This is a really hard game for Los Angeles because if this is the LA before a couple of those losses where we're like, okay, maybe they're not the best team.
Mm-hmm.
When they played earlier this season, we had the same conversation because we're like, okay, we picked this up as like this crazy expectation game where it was going to be super hardcore shootout. It was high scoring. It was over 50 points, but I don't have a definitive answer. I like the Cardinals. I think they're going to win this game, but if the Rams want any hope, they need to forget the last couple of weeks. Or I guess, obviously the most recent week they can remember, but yeah, it's they look a little wobbly, and I don't see a whole lot of weakness out of the Cardinals outside of injuries.
What do you have to say, Anthony, on that?
I got the Rams winning this game. I think this might be the statement game for LA. I think that the defense, they haven't showed up yet. Von Miller has been saying all this stuff about how the defense is going to be. I think they can get to Kyler. And I know Kyler's playing like crazy, but I think this is a statement game for LA. I think the knowledge of Cooper Kupp and his his play art, but I think this is gonna be a good matchup. Really good game to watch on Monday night compared to last Monday night game.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think this is a chance for LA to kind of define themselves and their gameplay moving forward. So I'm just excited to see it. I always want Cliff Kingsbury to win, but that's because I'm biased and a Texas Tech alumni. So with that being said, that brings us to the end of week 13 of the regular season. Gentlemen, as always, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Everyone that watched live, thanks for being here. Remember, you can watch this live on Twitch at twitch.tv/rdsports every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, or just catch us on your favorite podcast platform. For that, we'll see you next week. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.